안녕하세요, 여러분.
Kumusta? Hello, everyone.
오늘은 일요일에 6월 13일에
Today is Sunday, June 13th, 2021.
it is day 93 of 100 days of dancing to BTS to end the climate crisis.
Yay! Yay!
We are in the 8th to last day of this 100-day dance project. And it is also in the middle of our 12-day BTS Butter Countdown. And I have the privilege today of being joined by my friend Frances. Hello, Frances.
Thank you. Hi, Alma. Thanks for having me here.
Sure. So Frances and I have known each other for many, many years. And I met Frances because I got to see her dance. And so when I was doing this project, I reached out to Frances to see if she wanted to do at least some of it with me. And she agreed. So now here we are together.
Yay! I'm happy, very happy to do it.
So maybe we could just start off with like you and like your love of dance, and then maybe anything about you and like how you've been impacted by the climate crisis.
Okay. Well, I actually fell into dancing somewhat by accident. I didn't start dancing until I was in college. And when I did start, I just really fell in love with it. And I've been dancing ever since. I've been working in primarily in the San Francisco Bay Area as a dance artist, and mostly now collaborator with different dance projects and theater works. The past 20 something years, it's been quite a while. And we're getting older, Alma. So, and it's been such a great ride. And um, it's a spiritual experience for me, dancing is. And it's really been able to connect me to so many wonderful people in the community who have all somewhat become um, kind of stewards in my life, whether it's be for a little moment or lifelong friendships and just connections. And it just keeps getting um, fruitful in many different ways throughout this life and through all the ups and downs and the changes of our lives. And um, the second question about how climate change has affected my life.
Yeah.
Well, I have a nice little story, a snippet about my mother. She lived near the ocean in the Philippines in Zamboanguita, Dumaguete City. And I remember clearly she told me as a young girl how when she was growing up near the ocean, she and her siblings would go kind of on a daily basis, and they would see these huge turtles. They're called pawikan, and they're enormous, and their eggs are big. And it would be such a regular sight for them. And she's told me they're not here anymore. I don't see them anymore. They're no longer here.
Mhm.
And that really stuck with me when I was little. And that made me realize how much my mother loved the ocean and I love the ocean. And I, just that thought that I wasn't sure if she was aware that um, about what was happening, that all she knew was that they disappeared and she no longer saw them. So that's one little story for me about my mom and the ocean.
That's a beautiful and heartbreaking story. It's actually the story that we hear over and again as it relates to the climate crisis. So many species that are disappearing, that are going
Yep.
extinct. That makes me think a little bit about your current project that you're working on with the Audubon Society and around birding, but I'd love to hear more about that and what inspired you to do that.
Yeah, it's been such a great project. Actually, mainly I'm working with Sarah Bush Dance Project, who is a resident at Richardson Bay, and also in working with the Audubon Society. But primarily, this is a theater dance project that I'm a collaborator with, and with a group of artists. And we've been focusing on birds this whole year. 2020 has been a very uh, eventful, interesting, um, transformative year for all of us. So we have been doing bird sits. We've been dancing through the sounds with the sounds of birds. We've been writing a lot about our experience with birds and our relationship with them, with the trees, with them. We go to different sites. We place our feet on those salt marshes and the mud flats, and we hike and we climb trees, and we just create different forms of art, just listening to the birds and studying them in that way, in experiencing them physically and auditory. Um, so that's been such a wonderful opportunity for me as an artist to come from that place of creating and having that as somewhat my connection with this whole 2020 COVID, and it got me to thinking in a different way about my relationship with the earth and how I am responding or not responding to what I hear
Mm-mm.
with the birds.
Mhm.
And now, because of this project, I am more aware of when I don't hear them or when I hear them. My eyes are open, my pores are open, my body is open to hearing more because of the exercises and the prompts that we've been working on all year. So it's been such a gift in many, many ways.
Um, is it okay if I show a little bit of your project on the web? Okay, so I'm
Yes,
going to do a
yes.
little screen share here. This is this Instagram page for Audubon CA, and it's show. Do you want to talk a little bit about some of the things on this page?
I think that perhaps not necessarily this page, but maybe Sarah's page with the dance, just
Um,
because I'm not necessarily directly, I don't want to speak of and for Audubon.
sure. Well, Sarah Bush Dance Project, this is their YouTube handle. And there's a number of videos here that you were involved with relating to birds and birding. This is one called
Yes.
Contact Call, a mini dance film. You want to maybe talk about that for a minute?
Yeah. So Sarah Bush, this is I believe is the first film that was created. Um, Miles Lassie is the person that is a videographer and also did the sound to it. Really, our inspiration is what I talked about. We went into Richardson Bay, listened, did a bird sit first with Molly, who is uh, an expert at Audubon and works for Audubon Society. And we touched the grass, we touched the trees, and that was our inspiration for the movement. We did a lot of improvisation. We had some set things there, and we planned out where we're going to be. But really, what we our vocabulary really came from our like physical experience of the space, what we saw above us and around us, and that was filmed. And this is we did about a 3 minute 4 minute film.
So you can actually find this on YouTube. You could just do a search for Sarah Bush Dance Project, and or you could just do a search for Contact Call. Just because of time, we're going to wrap up soon. But here's another dance video that you all did for Sarah Bush Wildcat.
Yes.
And that was the branches on their heads and touching the earth. So there was a lot more kind of like contact and being in touch, like literally in touch with nature. So
Yeah, really we like relationships is such a big a key thing with our group, with Sarah Bush's group, is that like how do we relate to the branches, the trees, to each other? You know, what is our connection to these things? And I think that for me, it's like the more we relate and we think about our relationships with things, with the trees and around us, then you know it changes the way we look at the world and the planet.
yeah, I think that's a perfect place to close the conversation because, really this project is about remembering our relationships like
Yes.
our relationships to nature, to living creatures, to each other, and to ourselves. Because I think the reason we're in a climate crisis is the places where we allowed ourselves to get disconnected from ourselves and with nature and from each other. So one of the things I love about this project is it's just like going deep into a particular wildlife category, and then just deciding to just really be as in touch with it as you can. And I think if all of us could figure out what's that thing, like what's that, whether it's a creature or trees or like remembering our connection, I think that'll help us stay motivated around why it's so important to end the climate crisis, as well as noticing what the impacts of the climate crisis are, so that we get back to that. We get back to that's why we're fighting for it.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Okay, so because of time, we're going to close the talking part of this, but Frances has agreed to be part of our BTS Butter Countdown. So we will see you on the dance floor. Any final words, Frances, of goodbye before we go to the dance floor?
Yeah, I do. I do like what we talk about relationship. I think I just encourage everybody to ask ourselves, to communicate. How do we relate and communicate to the plant that's outside? And I think the more we ask those questions, the better we can um, connect ourselves a little bit closer, a little bit more intimately, because we are intimately connected to the planet. We thrive in it. We depend on it. And
That's true.
when we lose that, we think we can survive without it and just take, then that's the end of us.
Right.
And without it, we're nothing. So yeah, that's all. Last words.
Yeah. Building a regenerative economy and not an extractive one. All right.
Yeah.
So thank you for chatting with us, Frances. I look forward to seeing you on the dance floor.
Thank you,
Bye,
Alma.
everyone. See you
Bye,
on the dance
everyone.
floor.